So in this video, I'll be building this book stand. So it's mainly for like a cookbook. So you put your book in here and it kind of holds it up for you while you're cooking, and you can look at it and it's not like laying flat and paper's trying to fold around. So I got this inspiration from Cher's workshop diaries. I'll put a link down below for that particular video that I used for this inspiration. But with that, let's get to the video. So I originally was going to use this piece of pine board, but it is warped really bad. So yeah, I've had this board in my wood rack for a while and it has just warped out of no belief. So that is not going to be usable for this project. So basically I need a 1x6 board. I actually need two at 14 inches. So I have this piece of walnut that looks pretty good. It has a few issues with it, with some knots and things of that nature, but hey, I think I'll give it a try. So this is going to be the board that I am going to use. So with this board, what I need is a 1x6 board, 4 feet long. And you'll see that this piece of walnut just has some gnarly ends on it. There's a big crack on the other end. So I got to kind of figure out how I'm going to mill this thing up to get a 1x6 board, 4 feet long, to get all the pieces I need for the book stand. So it's the right thickness, but just figuring out exactly what I'm going to need is going to be a challenge. So I have my measurements now. I'm over here at the miter saw. You can kind of see some of the gnarly parts of this wood where it's cracked there on the bottom and on the side. So just getting it cut to size here for what I need for this particular project. So it is walnut. I was trying to be a little more careful with the cut. It is a pretty hard wood. So I'll be using my jointing jig to get a straight edge on one side of the board so that I can glue these pieces together. So just using it on my table saw. And here comes a big mistake, guys. Big mistake. Don't do that. That was a really bad move. I don't think I even realized what I was doing, but man, that was a dangerous move. That board could have easily kicked back on me. Oh, terrible. But the board was long and it was about to start coming up on me because my table saw is a little proud of my actual workbench, so I had to use my hand to kind of hold it down. I didn't feel comfortable doing that by reaching over, so that's why I switched positions. But I should have just stopped and moved over. So now that I've got them mitered and ready to go, I just need to cut them to size. So I need them 14 inches long. So I have it 6 inches wide and it's going to be 14 inches long. I need two of those in order to be able to butt them together, and I will be gluing them up, and you'll see here shortly. But what I'm doing here is just to basically getting two pieces exactly 14 inches the same, and then we'll go to the next step. So now I'm ready for glue up. So I'll just be setting this down on my clamps. And one of the things I'll be doing here is just checking like what sides do I want to be the front face and the back face. So just trying to get the best sides that's going to look right. And just trying to make sure everything kind of lined up correctly too. Also making sure that my joint sides are together and nice and straight. And then we will clamp it up here and get it glued up. I do like this glue bottle. I've used it in other videos. It's nice and small and the way it works is good. So I'll put a link down below in the video description of the one that I've got. And it just works really well for any glue ups. Okay, now the glue up is done. I did go ahead and joint the two sides of this using my jointing jig on my table saw. So next I will go ahead and mark out for the cuts for the handle. I'm going to look at it, these as a round to make the round parts, and then this bottom for where it will cut out and go straight. So this top one will be for the top piece that goes around, and then this is going to be the bottom pieces where it's going to turn and go that way. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. So just using my tool to make my trace marks and everything and measure it all out and get it ready to cut out for that handle. So yet another beginner mistake. I failed to actually record the cutting out of the handle. So this is after the cut's been made, and I'm just using my oscillating sander here just to get things all kind of moved in. I cut just a little bit wide of the actual line, so I'm just using my sander to bring the line in. And it was a little bit of work because I found that this walnut is really hard wood, and it wasn't as easy to sand as it would be like a piece of pine board, but it was okay. Once I got it going into a rhythm, everything just kind of worked out pretty good. So using my Miles Craft drill guide and a 1 3/8 inch Forstner bit, I'm going to be drilling a hole here in the middle for the handle. And yeah, just being careful with making sure I don't try to burn through the wood too fast. So I have a piece of my 1x6, and I'm going to be ripping some 1.5 inch strips. I need 2 of those in order to make the ledge where the bookshelf will sit. You'll see that here in a second. So I'm just ripping them down on the table saw. Again, 1.5 inch strips, 10 inches long. And with those cut to size, just giving them a quick sanding on all sides, getting ready to actually glue them together to become the shelf on the bookstand. So with that all done, just putting in a good set of glue, spreading it with the finger, putting it all together, clamp, 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 and we'll be ready for the next step. So another beginner mistake. I didn't show the part where I rounded everything over, so all the edges on the top and the bottom, and also inside the hole of the handle. I did do a small round over on the whole thing. You can kind of see it here in the background. So that was also done. So this piece will be the stand part of the bookstand, the kick out that holds it up, and it's basically a 6x6 piece with 30-degree angles cut. So it came out 6 inches by 4 5/8 once I cut the bevels, and that was actually perfect for what I was doing. So I'm using a butt hinge. I'll have a link down below to the one I got. Man, this wood was hard. It was very difficult to get these screws in. I even got pilot holes drilled, and I even drilled them longer and bigger, and I still was having a hard time getting them all in. So I'm putting it into the actual stand itself, again having a hard time with it. The one thing I didn't show here was the alignment of the bottom of this hinge part. So the short end of the bevel should be aligned with the bottom of the actual stand. So that's the alignment, and then I just centered it and screwed it into place. So getting ready for the glue up of the actual shelf part, and just getting it all aligned and where I want to go, and then I will glue it and clamp it down. So another beginner mistake, I did not record the actual glue up, but here it is after, and it's been set for a little while, and I came back to do one final check on it and make sure all my squeeze out was cleaned up, because I don't plan to paint this. I want to actually finish it, so I need to make sure all of my glue squeeze out has been all cleaned up. So it's time to test out my finish. So this is Howard cutting board oil. I have not used this before, so I'm going to basically take a scrap of the exact same wood and put that on there and give it a try. So I put it on fairly liberally. Again, it's my first time using it, wiping it off, and then yeah, I didn't quite get enough on there, so I'll have to come back and dribble a little bit more and then wipe it in, and then I'll let this set for a while and see what it looks like. It looks pretty good, actually. So the next test will be using some Minwax polyurethane. This is what I'm using. Give it a good stir. Make sure it's all nice and mixed up. And then you see me with my cloth down there. It's because it's my new workbench still, and I didn't want to get it all over it yet. So just using a test piece there to see how it all comes out. And after that, here you go. This is what it looks like. It's very similar to the other one. So let me grab the other one here and show you the difference. So the one on the left is the polyurethane, the right is the butterboard. So yeah, very similar. I'm going to let them dry overnight and take a look at them again. And if I want to do polyurethane, I'll have to do 3 coats of it. So that's the way it goes. So I'm just going to prep it here for the polyurethane to make sure all the dust is off and everything is ready to go. And now it's polyurethane time. Yep, the same polyurethane as I showed you before. So just putting it in all of it. Using a foam brush seemed to work pretty well. No complaints at all. And just making sure I get all the sides and pieces and parts, and then flip it over, do the other side very well. So I won't show you all the boring parts of it, but I did do 3 coats. I pretty much waited 24 hours, even though it said it would dry fast. I waited the full 24 hours before doing a light sanding and the other coats. Okay, here's the final product. 3 coats of poly. This is walnut. I just did straight poly on it. I really like the way it came out. There was a little bit of a little deformity here, but I actually like that. It kind of gives a little bit of character. So yeah, this is it. Yeah, it was a good build, fun build. So basically it just is a, makes it for like cookbooks. So when you're going in to just kind of get your cookbook and you just work on it like that. So that's how it works. So if you like this video, you learned something or got a good laugh out of something, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. And I'll have links down below to all the tools I used in this build. So with that, I'll see you in the next video.